Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. Super excited about our conversation today. And today we've got a topic that you're going to need in your life to make 2024 your best year yet. Reality, you're going to need it in your life to have a truly great life. And the topic is momentum. Momentum is a great exaggerator. And our oldest son, he's gotten into watching professional basketball. And so we'll watch some games, and it's interesting. You'll see the momentum swings throughout the game. And we were watching a team play the other day, and a guy, he just hit like 4 threes in a row. He obviously had some momentum. And when the momentum swings like that, you'll see what the other team will do is they'll call a timeout to try to halt that momentum. Momentum is a great exaggerator. You need some momentum in your life, and I do as well. And just kind of as an analogy of what momentum can do for you, let's say you got, as an analogy, you think about if you've got this massive train, and let's say that this massive train has momentum going. It's going fast, and it's got all the speed and the momentum behind it. The momentum of that train could blow through a 5-foot thick, steel reinforced concrete wall because it's got momentum. But let's say that train is sitting still, and you put a little 2-inch block in front of the drive wheels of that train. You can't even get it going because it lacks momentum. That's what momentum will do for you and I in our lives. It will help you knock down the challenges. And so let's jump in. And so as we get going, I want to ask you a question. How many of you wake up to an alarm clock? How many of you actually hit the snooze button on that alarm clock a few times, right? I tell you what, that snooze button, that is the enemy. It is of the enemy. In some of our leadership trainings with teams, I like to play this hype video. And in one of the hype videos, it has Eric Thomas talking, and he says he doesn't use an alarm clock. He says his passion wakes him up. He doesn't need no alarm clock to wake him up. His passion wakes him up. His desire wakes him up. His ability to be and do and to have wakes him up. He says he doesn't have an alarm clock and hasn't used an alarm clock in 20 years. That man says he wakes his alarm clock up, right? But I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day. He said, getting up when your alarm clock goes off is really to win the first battle of the day. He says it's the difference in starting the day with the win and starting the day behind and trying to play catch up. He says it's like putting your life on hold 9 minutes at a time every single time you hit that snooze button. Now, I'll be honest with you. That snooze button, it gets me from time to time, every now and then, right? A bit of a different thought on this, but still in that same vein is, maybe you guys have heard this. In 2014, Admiral William McRaven, he is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL officer. He gave this commencement speech at the University of Texas that went viral and actually has a pretty popular book on it. But he had a simple recommendation to make your bed first thing in the morning. See, he says something so simple like making your bed first thing in the morning helps you to start your day with a sense of accomplishment. It sets the tone for the rest of the day, and it can encourage you to complete more tasks. Here's what I found, though. The things that are simple to do, they're also simple not to do. But it's often the simple and the subtle things that can launch momentum in our favor. What our focus is on today is creating momentum in your life by being intentional about creating small wins in your day, especially at the bookends of your day. So when I wrote my first book, The Heart of the Father, a couple years ago, I did a bit of research. And in some of the research, I found that the average person has between 30,000 and 90,000 thoughts per day. And 90% of those thoughts, they're the same thoughts we had the day before. which are the same thoughts we had the day before, which are the same thoughts we had the day before, which tells me that we aren't really thinking. That if 90% of our thoughts are the same thoughts we've been thinking, then we're on autopilot in our thought life. And what we think about really determines how we feel. See, how we feel in a given moment determines the actions we take, and the actions we take produce the results that we get. What I think about determines how I feel. How I feel in a given moment determines the actions I take, and the actions I take produce the results that I get. And if I keep getting the same results, or if I don't like the results that I'm getting, then something needs to change. Something needs to shake up. I need a checkup from the neck up, right? I need to mix some things up. If you remember from physics class, Newton's first law states that an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by another object. The reverse of that is an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon. See, having momentum is important because it's a magnifier. Momentum is a problem solver. Momentum can bust through challenges just like that train busting through that brick wall. I like professional baseball, and in pro baseball, y'all, they play 162 games in the regular season. That's a lot of games. And they've got the saying in baseball that goes like, if you're on a 12-game winning streak, you're not as good as you appear to be. And when you're on a 12-game losing streak, you're not as bad as you appear to be. Your momentum or your lack of it, it magnifies where you're at. You want some momentum in your life. And so the question becomes, how do we create some momentum in our lives? Well, the first thing is you got to be the first to make a move. See, there are momentum makers, and then there are momentum takers. If you want momentum in your life, then you got to be willing to make the first move. Don't wait for something to happen. Go make something to happen. I will wait until, y'all, is not a strategy for success. Procrastination is not a fruit of the spirit. See, if an object at rest stays at rest unless it's acted upon by another force, then be that force. Now, let me ask you something. If you were to take a look at your life right now, what area of life do you really need some momentum at right now? If you're a leader, what about your team? Where does your team need some momentum at right now? Think about where you currently are and think about that area where you really need some momentum at. That area that you need some momentum at. Do you need some momentum in your health? Maybe you need some momentum in your finances. Maybe you need to see some momentum in some of the key relationships in your life. Maybe you need some momentum in your faith or in your career. But at this moment in time, where do you need some momentum at? Your momentum is not launched by waiting for something to happen or by sitting still. It's against the laws, right? It's against the laws. And so if there's a strain in a key relationship in your life, then what does it look like for you to be the person to make the first move? Well, Cory, Cory, you don't know what they did to me. You don't know what they need to apologize to me first. I'm waiting on them to apologize. No. You are a momentum maker. What does it look like for you to be the first person to make a move? Maybe you need some momentum in your career. And what does it look like for you to be the first to make a move? What does it look like to show some initiative? Like, what does it look like to start performing like a champion before being given a title? Many people like to hold up the trophy and say, man, I did it. Look what I did. But they don't like to do the work of becoming a champion. They like the idea of being a champion, not so much the process of becoming a champion. I went to a John Maxwell event one time, and he was speaking, and after he spoke, he was going to do a book signing. He was signing the books and taking pictures with people. And as I walked out the doors and into the area where he was going to be, I saw this long line of people, just as far as the eye could see at that vantage point, people just waiting for John to sign their book or maybe get a picture with him. And some of them I knew would be waiting for hours. And personally, for me, I was like, I ain't got time for all that. But it's easy to look at something like that or to see someone like John and say, man, I sure would like to do what he does. But the real question is, are you willing to do what he did in order to get there? See, champions created momentum in their lives long before someone crowned them champion. They became champions by creating moment and momentum, the hours and months and the years long before anyone had ever even heard of them. Maybe for you, you need some momentum in your health world. See, I used to hear this in the gym all the time. I don't have anybody to work out with me. You know, if I had a workout partner, if I just had somebody to go work out with me, then I'd change my health. I would start going to the gym. And y'all, I'm just going to make a suggestion that maybe you should invite others to join you for the journey. But if they choose to stop along the way, or maybe they choose to not to even take the first step, then you go anyway. You do it anyway. You make the move anyway. Many times we get caught in this cycle of waiting on other people to join us. And my question for you to ponder is, what if they don't show up? What if you were the one that took the action and everyone else got caught up in your wake? What if you are the one everyone else has been waiting for? Be the one to make the move first. That's how you initiate momentum. I think another piece of it is to continue to make yourself better. See, growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better. And if I'm not growing today, then I am today all I will ever be. If I'm not growing, if I'm not working on improving myself, if I'm not sharpening my skill set, then I'm not just standing still. I'm actually getting left behind. I must continue to grow. I must continue to get better because I can't lead you tomorrow based on today's understanding. So as John Wooden says, make each day your masterpiece. I want to focus on making each day my masterpiece, that today, just for today, today is going to be a masterpiece. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can do on this very day to reach the ceiling of this day. But the moment I wake up and I roll over and put my feet on the floor, I'm now standing on yesterday's ceiling. Yesterday's ceiling is now today's floor. Momentum is created by being the first to make a move and to create a win. Momentum is sustained by winning and winning again. And I know some will say, well, you can't always win. And that's true. There are going to be days, there are going to be moments that you get an L dropped into the loss column of life. It's in those moments that truly define who you are. And I heard a guy say one time that his high school teacher told him that he told him about the 24-hour rule. He says, see, when you get a huge win in life, then give yourself 24 hours to celebrate. You know, do you high fives, do you fist pumps, bear hugs, rainbows, fist pumps, unicorns, all that, whatever you got to do for 24 hours. But when 24 hours is over with, then it's time to move on. You still got things to do, to build bigger, to build better, to get stronger, to get faster. He also said that when you get dealt those losses of life, then give yourself 24 hours. He said you can get out your boom box, play your sad, sappy music for 24 hours. But once 24 hours is up, hey, it's time to pick yourself back up and to get going again. The last thought on this is to enjoy the journey. Creating momentum and sustaining momentum are not the same thing. Many times when we are trying to create momentum, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of effort. Many times there's a lot of excitement on the front end because we're doing something new, we're doing something fresh. Sometimes it's exciting because it's a new challenge. And it's true that there is a disproportionate amount of energy that goes into the front end. Maybe you've heard the analogy of a rocket ship or the truth of a rocket ship. When they launch a rocket ship, the majority of its fuel is used just to get it off the ground and to get it into the atmosphere. But once it penetrates the atmosphere and it gets into the stratosphere, the amount of fuel and energy that it uses is a whole lot less. It had a disproportionate amount of fuel and energy to get off the ground. More energy goes into the beginning of creating momentum as compared to momentum and sustaining it. And so, you know, eventually the honeymoon phase, it wears off. And the focus shifts to sustaining momentum and creating more momentum. So with that said, I just want to encourage you to enjoy the journey. Many times we get caught up in the doingness of life that we forget about all the amazing things that we've experienced, all the incredible people that we've gotten the opportunity to meet. And y'all, at the end of your days, at the end of my days, people will forget about all the awards and accolades you won. People may forget about the thing you did or that thing you started in 2012. I mean, people forget who won the 2016 World Series, unless you're a Cubs fan like me. But y'all, they'll never forget the impact you had on their lives. And so as we're creating momentum, as we're sustaining momentum, don't lose focus on enjoying the journey and the people you meet along the way. And so as I wrap up this podcast, I just want to wrap it up with a few quotes. Y'all know I love quotes. I got a whole book, a whole phone full of quotes, and I try to organize them into topics, but I love quotes. And I just want to leave you with a few Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar quotes, old school, to wrap this podcast up. Here are a few of them. Lack of direction, not lack of time, is the problem. See, we all have 24 hours in a day. We must suffer for one of two pains in life, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs a ton. Days are expensive. When you spend a day, you have one less day to spend. So make sure you spend each one wisely. Ooh, that's good. There are no traffic jams on the extra mile. You can start where you are with what you've got and go to wherever it is you want to get to. You can start with where you're at. How about that? Always remember that your present situation is not your final destination. The best is yet to come. Amen to that, Brother Zig. Hey, I hope today has added value to you. I hope you got at least something that you can take and apply. I hope it's inspired you. I hope that there is something I hope the words that I speak produce a life, that it triggers something on the inside of you, that it sparks a flame, something on the inside of you where you become lit aflame and you become contagious to the world around you. This world needs your talents, your gifts, and your abilities. And so I hope today has added value to you. If it has, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you share it with a friend, and so you can stay up to date with the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. So subscribe, and I would love to get this message out to other people so we can inspire them. And so feel free to share it with a friend or family member. Hope you guys have a great day, and God bless.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.